Pete here with Philly Metro CRE. Philly Metro Commercial Real Estate basically is a website for people who rent multi-unit buildings, more specifically multi-tenant residential rentals. If you're looking for information and tips on how to improve them, how much they're worth, how to buy, and how to sell, this is the place for you, so hit subscribe. This video is about the top 10 tips on keeping your rent amounts high without losing tenants. So for this video, I'm going to explain the 10 tips that I would recommend based on experience, and here they go. Number 1, keep up with your properties. If you notice one important thing with casinos especially, and stores, after time, there might have been a brand new mall, a brand new casino, brand new restaurant. They will be very, very popular. Over a short amount of time, they might have the same food, same great service. They actually start getting less traffic and less people. When they don't remodel and keep up with the property, they notice declining business. It just happens. People look for the newer, nicer thing. It's the same thing if you own a car. You own a car. Hey, it's a great car, you drive it, let's just say there's nothing wrong. After 5 years, you still say, maybe I should get a new one. You're looking for those new features, brighter, shiny paint, and you know, that's just what people do. So keeping up with your property is important. If it's getting too old, you may want to consider painting. This goes into number 2 also, which is your common areas. You got to keep the common areas clean. So every year you might want to do things like pressure wash sidewalks. Obviously make sure there's not garbage all around. Keep the lawns cut in multi-tenants, and just generally look around for any problems and make sure they're clean. No graffiti, that's important too. But keeping up your properties, 1. Keep your common areas clean, number 2, because if you want to keep good tenants, they don't want to live in a messy place. It's not their area. They're not going to clean it. Also keep them free of smell. Like if you're a place that has pets, sometimes those pets do things like take a leak in stairwells or something. So you want to make sure you keep those clean. You want to remodel when needed. That's number 3 too. So all these things are important. Number 4, you want to avoid bad tenants. Bad tenants typically are the start of a decline for any property owner, renter, whether it's multi-unit or commercial. Those tenants, they can poison a property. They can damage stuff. They can cause you money. So avoiding bad tenants are key. You want to make sure you have a good application. You want to screen tenants. Typically, you know, I understand everything's different, but avoiding animals that typically cause problems. A lot of people might restrict to large dogs. They won't allow them. Number of pets too is also an important thing that people restrict. Often smoking is a thing that's restricted. I know there was a large 80-unit commercial building. I was told it was a great building, and other people over time moved in and said they weren't screening tenants. And I'm actually not opposed to marijuana, don't get me wrong, but they said that the whole place smells like weed. You go in the halls and you just can't help but smell it. And the problem when you have a situation like this is, 1, your common areas are unclean. 2, it smells, and everybody doesn't like that. So you are now going to have a lower chance of getting quality tenants. A lot of people with families probably don't want that. And you know, some families have members that may use medical marijuana, but that doesn't mean they want the whole place smelling like marijuana, smoke, you know, all the time and in the common areas. So keep in mind, bad tenants can cause problems. They also damage property more frequently. So those credit checks, criminal background checks, avoiding certain things that would be a problem are important. And also frequently ask tenants if they need repairs. This is number 5. So when you frequently ask tenants if they need repairs, that's going to make sure you handle problems before they get too bad. That also will keep your values higher. I don't know how many times in a single family, multi-family, this has happened where everything's fine, and then they say, well, we got a small problem, can you come and check it out? And then they tell you the roof was leaking, or the ceiling was wet for 3 months, and of course the upstairs tenant has a toilet leak or something, and they didn't say anything. So when you have these type of issues, asking and then fixing things quickly is the key. If you wait and then they snowball, you've got thousands of dollars in repairs. And of course, when you have a high number of repairs, sometimes people don't do them great, or they just try to patch it up, and and that's when you start having declining rents too. If you have a ceiling that you had to fix and now it's got blotches, that is a problem. And when we're talking about these repairs, that's really the next point. Don't be afraid to use the deposit for repairs. If you have a good lease and the tenant leaves, even if there's no problems, some landlords I talk to just for some reason want to give back the deposit. And I guess that's the easy thing to do, but it's not typically the right thing to do, because if you have a lease, it should say you're not allowed to stick nails in the walls. If people want to hang things, you should recommend that they use those sticky tabs that go on that can come off and will clean easier. When they put nails in, what most landlords typically do, they don't want to cause any problems. They don't want to repaint too. They give them their deposit back. Then they just take the nail out, try to patch it, then try to match the paint or use 3-year-old paint and put a dab there. The next person that comes, they're going to look and they're going to notice because the paint doesn't match exactly. So you start getting a declining value and a declining quality of tenant. A really good tenant, they want the place to look brand new. So if you don't have that quality, you're not going to have your rents higher. You're not going to attract those people that you really are trying to attract. A good long-term tenant that'll pay a very reasonable rate. That's basically what you're looking for. So whatever repairs have to be deducted that you can legally deduct, you have 30 days in Pennsylvania to do that. I don't know what the law is in other states, but make sure you take notes and keep in mind touching up the wall is not equal. If you need to repaint a wall because they put 5 nails in, you got to do that. And don't hire somebody who does a bad job, because it will look bad. And deduct that from the rent, whatever needs to be deducted. Take photos and videos prior to each person coming in and leaving each apartment. And the main reason is because if you do have to go to court later, you're going to have proof this is how it was before and this is how it is now, and that's why you're keeping a deposit. Number 8, complete repairs fully. We say complete repairs fully for the thing that I just talked about. Some people, when they see the walls, they patch it up, or they tell the tenant, hey, as long as you take care of it before you move, I don't have a problem with that. Well, that's fine, but you need to make it clear taking care of it completely means it looks like it did before they moved in. I've seen tenants that aren't experienced or have a friend, they just patch it up. It looks like it was patched poorly, and then what do? They just get white paint and splash it on, and you can tell there's a bunch of white bubbles all over wherever they put that, or they messed up the trim and they try to repair it. It doesn't look right. So, and now you give them their deposit back, and what do you think the next person who comes says? They look at the place and they say, well, I'm not going to pay $1,500 to live here. This place looks kind of crappy. And that's what happens. So you start getting declining things. That goes with everything. HVAC, you have to maintain those. Any type of repairs that have to be done, they have to be done to the highest standard so they look new. Watching your expenses, that's the other thing. Once you have a multi-tenant building or any rental, your expenses matter. If your expenses start to get too high, you have to determine what is causing that. Water, sewage bills, typically things that go high, because often that's not charged to the tenant in a multi-unit building. So understanding, hey, if somebody has toilet leaks or water leaks, you're getting huge bills. You need to maintain those costs. So when you realize what your expenses are, when they start going up, if you're asking tenants if they have repairs, they may have a leaking toilet or faucet that needs to be fixed. I know I've heard that you can get flow meters. So if you have it, I guess you're building newer, You could determine where those leaks are coming from easily, even though you're not getting billed individually. So if that's an option, that might be a good thing. But you have to know what your expenses are, and you have to know when they're getting out of control, because that's going to help you maintain your property and keep your rent values higher. Lastly, conduct a rent survey. A lot of times people either adjust their rent too high and people don't want to pay it. And a lot of times if you do that, you actually tend to get bad tenants, because a bad tenant doesn't care if they're paying a high rent for a while, because they are probably going to end up screwing you over and not paying. So a lot of times they're going to care less, as long as they can get in. That's their key, getting in your apartment. But a good tenant, they are shopping around, they're a little bit savvy, they do want to be in nice areas, but they will know, usually they have options. So if your building's nice and your rent, it might be on the higher side, but still within fair rent value, they'll pay that rent, if it's nice. So that's why it's important to follow these 10 tips to keep your rent amounts high and maintain your tenants for longer terms. 1, keep up with your properties. 2, keep your common areas clean at all time. 3, remodel when needed. 4, avoid bad tenants. 5, ask tenants if any repairs are needed frequently. 6, don't be afraid to keep the deposit for repairs when there's repairs that have to be done when tenants leave. 7, take photos and or videos of each unit prior to the tenant coming and when they leave. And the main reason when they leave is because, of course, you might have to keep their deposit. 8, complete your repairs fully. Number 9, watch your expenses. And 10, conduct rent surveys. So when you do all these 10 tips, you'll be able to profit more with multi-units, and obviously you're going to be living a better life, because rental as a business or as a property manager, a lot of times people call it passive income, but you still have to do something. Money's not just falling out of the sky. These are properties, and sometimes it could not be the tenant. Keep in mind, it could be some external cause, like a leaking toilet's not necessarily because of a tenant. Leaking faucet isn't necessarily a tenant, but they're issues that need to be addressed. This is Pete from PhillyMetroCRE.com, 610-209-9219. Give me a call if you have questions about buying or selling multi-unit properties, whether they're commercial or residential. Let me know what I can help you with. I look forward to talking to you soon. Have a great day.